Over the past 6 weeks, President Donald Trump has been expending political capital with the reckless abandon of someone convinced they have a foolproof system. If historical patterns are any indication, his second term may already be on a collision course with disaster. Is it too early to say that? Consider former President Joseph Biden, who, in his initial weeks in office, reversed Trump's border policies and released another wave of pandemic relief funds. These actions ultimately led to two of his biggest political challenges: a migrant crisis and rampant inflation so severe that even Dollar Tree had to increase its prices. Biden worsened the situation by dismissing these issues. His administration argued that immigration was cyclical and inflation was merely transitory. Neither explanation proved accurate. His approval ratings plummeted following the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan and never recovered. Now it's Trump's turn to make a misstep. His approval ratings have just dipped into negative territory, reaching this point even faster than Biden did. According to a new Ipsos poll, 3 out of 5 Americans believe the cost of living, the very issue that likely secured Trump's 2024 election win, is heading in the wrong direction. As you might recall, Trump promised to reduce food prices on his first day in office. Yet here we are with Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins advising the public to cope with high egg prices by raising their own chickens. I understand the allure. Raising chickens, at least in a world without avian flu, might sound quaint, and I imagine many environmentally conscious liberals would find it quite nostalgic. However, for most urban and suburban Americans, this suggestion is akin to the Secretary of Transportation recommending we address rising gas prices by riding horses to work. If a Democrat had made such an absurd suggestion, Fox News would likely be hosting an emergency town hall titled "Biden's Barnyard Blunder: The War on Your Wallet." Yet, somehow, this little gem of wisdom has barely registered. Perhaps people are too preoccupied with choosing between buying a carton of eggs and keeping their lights on. Meanwhile, Trump seems determined to test how much economic hardship voters can endure. His latest move? Imposing tariffs on Canada and Mexico, because nothing addresses inflation quite like increasing prices. Planning to build a house? Prepare for skyrocketing lumber costs. And if that wasn't enough, his mass deportation plan threatens to decimate the construction workforce, driving labor costs through the roof. It's a perfect 1-2 punch: fewer workers, more expensive materials, and a housing market already on life support. Don't worry though, instead of acknowledging the flawed approach, Republicans are preemptively claiming that Americans are willing to endure high prices for Trump. Right. Keep telling yourselves that. Speaking of questionable ventures, Trump recently announced something called a strategic crypto reserve. While I don't know exactly what that entails, I do know that when you combine crypto and Trump, someone is likely getting taken advantage of, and it won't be him or his wealthy friends in the tech industry. This brings us to Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency. On paper, reducing waste sounds appealing. In reality, however, a foreign-born billionaire with a penchant for ketamine and a collection of surprised children who is laying off American workers en masse is not well received, especially when some of those laid-off employees are Trump supporters who believed he would only target others. That's right. It turns out that the so-called deep state includes ordinary people, many of them military veterans, who don't appreciate being laid off by a billionaire space enthusiast or one of his young associates. Then there's the looming foreign policy disaster. Trump has perfected the art of alienating allies, but his decision to pause military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine could have severe consequences, like Russia potentially overpowering Ukraine. A majority of Americans, according to Ipsos, actually support Ukraine defending itself with U.S. weapons. So Trump starts off in a minority position, and that's before his policies risk pushing Ukraine toward a very public collapse, a scenario one can only hope doesn't unfold. If Ukraine falls and headlines are filled with reports of Russian war crimes and images of tanks rolling into Kiev, Trump's already precarious position could unravel further. In short, Trump is charging ahead like someone convinced they have an unassailable mandate. He's making bold moves that typically end in spectacular failure. After all, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. He has managed to escape tight spots many times before, so perhaps he'll succeed again. Or maybe, just maybe, his reckoning is finally at hand.